Like I said, section 22.2, question 2. Calculate the angles this time marked with an X. So angles are far trickier to find. Now look, let's quote the rule as it is. I've got an angle and that's its opposite side there. So here we go. If I want to work out angle X, I better carefully, in fact let's just do it on the exam paper, join that to his angle X straight away. Because you know that to use the cosine rule, you've got to start with something squared, a length squared. You can't just pick any old random one you like. It's got to be the 8.1 because we're trying to find the angle opposite the 8.1, and of course that occurs at the end of the formula, cos x. So let's just get a mark by doing this. So 8.1 squared equals the other 2 squared, of course. 6 squared plus 7 squared, take away 2 lots of the other 2. 6 times 7 multiplied by the cosine of angle x, which is what I want to find out. Alright, now let's just take this minus 2 times 6 times 7 next door and it becomes positive. Let's go brighter, shall we? So this goes next door and becomes positive, so I've got 2 lots of 6 times 7 times the cosine of the angle that we want equals, well this hasn't moved, 6 squared plus 7 squared minus the 8.1 squared. Let's just work this out this side first and that'll be fine. So 6 squared is 36, so 36 plus 49 is 7 squared, press equals, and I want to take away 8.1 squared and that gives me 19.39. Again, you haven't got to show every single little bit. Okay, I've done this in one little blob. Okay, so I've got 2 times 6 times 7. Let's just do it now. So that's going to be 12 times 7. So I've got 84 times the cosine of x equals 19.39. And already I've condensed it quite a lot. So the cosine of the angle we're looking for is going to be 19.39 divided by 84. And that's going to give us something or other. So 19.39, divide that by 84, and we've got 0.23083. That'll do. And now in order to get x on its own, of course you've got to shift cos it. So again, not shift sine, this is the cosine rule. So shift cos it, coming up now, shift and cos, bam, I've got 76.65. So let's go to 76.7 degrees, and I'm going to leave it like that. Alright, so first mark, substitute all the values in the correct place, in the correct order, rearrange it and start number crunching. Let me just do B over here. Work in yellow, I think it's brighter. Right, so let's have a look. I want angle x again, which means I better keep the 6.7 up front, because 6.7 squared is how we need to start. So here we go. 6.7 squared equals the other 2 squared, 5.9 squared plus 8.2 squared, take away 2 lots of these other 2, multiplied by the cosine of angle x, which is related to the 6.7 opposite. Okay, so that gets us a mark. Again, bring this entire term over. As you can see, it's minus all this, and that goes over and becomes positive, and this will go next door and become negative, won't it? So let's just write it then. 2 lots of 5.9 times 8.2 times the cosine of the angle we want is 5.9 squared plus 8.2 squared, subtract 6.7 squared. Going back to yellow because I can't see what I'm doing. Let's just work out this left side since we can. So 2 times 5.9 times 8.2 gives me 96.76 times the cosine of the angle we want is, now work out that little blob there, so we have got 5.9 squared plus 8.2 squared and subtract 6.7 squared. Again, calculator can handle it beautifully. Press equals. This all comes to 57.16. So the cosine of the angle I'm looking for is 57.16 divided by that 96.76. Let's just write it over there. Divide that by 96.76 0.6 I think it is, yeah, and that gives us 0.5907399, etc. So I'm going to stop. So the angle I'm actually looking for is, if I go shift cos, again I've not written all the numbers down, it's in my calculator, there it is, and so if I now go shift cos on that, I should be fine. Shift cos, bam, that gives me 53.79, 53.8 degrees, and that's what I make it. I might have space for this one, if not I'm really sorry, so I'm going to try and make that fit down here somewhere. In fact, why don't I just start it up here and write it in super duper small, and I'll even change to red so it looks pretty. Right, here we go. I want this one, so let's start with 11.8 squared. 11.8 squared equals the other two squared, any order you like, plus 7.9 squared, take away two lots of 6.7 times 7.9 times the cosine of x. Yeah, just about fits. So alright, let's just rearrange it. Try and work down here somewhere. Right, underneath the line I'm going to work. So you're going to come over here with me, and I'm going to go and bring this negative term all over to the other side and add like that. So I'm going to have two lots of 6.7 times 7.9 multiplied by the cosine of our angle equals 6.7 squared plus the 7.9 squared, subtract the 11.8 squared, and then I'm going to work out this little blob and this little blob. So let's do it first. 2 times 6.7 times 7.9 equals, so I now have 105.86 times the cosine of our angle equals whatever this little bit is. So 6.7 squared plus 7.9 squared, subtract the 11.8 squared. Hopefully I pressed all the right buttons, and I've ended up with a negative value. So that's allowed, I'm not scared of that. So I've got minus 31.94, and so the cosine of the angle I'm looking for be minus 31.94 divided by 3, 105.86, so divided by 105.86, bang, and that equals, I've made a mistake, yeah, no it doesn't, it looks good, minus 0.301719, and I hope I've got just about the right amount of space to change it into the angle. Therefore the angle is going to be shift cos that. I'm not scared of negative cos values. Remember the 4 quadrants that we did a couple of topics back. Right, remember, if you've got angles greater than 90, 180, 270, back to 360 again, remember we get sort of waves like that, and we can have angles bigger than 90 degrees, bigger than acute angles, and they also have a sine and a cosine and a tangent. So there we go. So if I want to shift cos that without getting too scared of it, bang, I've got 107.6 degrees. Look at that, 107.6 degrees. That's got to be right. Look, it even looks like an obtuse angle. Not that these diagrams are drawn to scale, they're not. But look at it sensibly. This is the longest side, that is a 7.9, that's only a 6.7. It's as though the 11.8 was pushing this along and stretching it that way, therefore forcing, if you like, an acute angle. Sorry, an obtuse angle. And there we go, 107.6 is an obtuse angle. Now, don't be baffled by angles that are greater than an acute angle. They do exist, and there's one just there in question 2C. And these have a negative cosine, because in the second quadrant, cosine is negative. You may recall that in the second quadrant, sines are both positive, alright? So in the first quadrant, sine and cosine are both positive. In the second quadrant, as we go anti-clockwise beyond 90 degrees, sine is positive, but cosine is negative. And that is why, friends, I've got a cosine right, where is it now? I've got a calculation that's negative, and that gave me a cosine that's negative when I divided by 105.86. But the calculator can handle negative cosines and negative sines for that matter. Shift cos, bang, 107.6. We have nailed it. Study that one, do it slowly yourself, and don't just lift it off the video without thinking. Calculate it yourself, your way, showing all the steps so you feel happy in your own mind this is correct. And I'll continue in a little while.